It's the Hoops Boys Podcast. Welcome to episode 3 with your host with the most, Jet, and America's favorite bitch-ass white boy, CProc.
Let's go.
Take us away, Jet.
All right. We're still early in the season, but now we're at a point where I feel we can see some of these teams' identities, strengths, weaknesses, and things that they need to improve on. Some players are taking huge leaps this season, showing off what they've been working off in the somewhat modified offseason, and it shows. Right now, I'm going to pass it back to CProc so he can tell us how he feels about the state of the league.
Well, we are 20 games in, give or take a few cancellations here and there, and I think the landscape's starting to form. It's starting to form. We know historically the West is the cream of the crop. Jet, what do you think are the teams to fear most coming out of the West Coast? And anyone, just anyone, if anyone and who could take down the defending champs, the Lake Show?
So I'm going to answer your last question first. Right now, I think there's two teams in the West that can give the Lake Show a problem. One being the Utah Jazz. If anybody's been watching them, they've been really whipping teams up these last 10 games, which we'll go into later in the show. And also, I think the Clippers will give the Lakers a run for their money. The Clippers got a little bit better. They lost some good players that went to the Lakers, but they did gain Serge Ibaka, which I feel is a great addition, and he has some floor space in that Montrezl Harrell didn't have. So that's going to open up their offense a lot more, and those two teams will really give the Lakers a run for their money. But as far as the West, we all know the West is wild. It's always been wild since I've been watching basketball, and it's almost a three-way tie for first place, with the Jazz surprisingly leading the pack.
Back to the mailman days.
Back to the mailman days. They're currently on a 10-game winning streak, which is the largest in the NBA right now, and I think all season as well. The Clippers, they've been steady. They've been a steady team. They're right in second place, percentage points behind the Jazz. And the Lakers are in third. They took 2 L's recently, one being a really bad L to the Pistons.
Yeah, no business. Terrible. No business losing to that team.
No business losing to them. And then they've been all right.
Just all right.
The Spurs, there's 4 things guaranteed in this life: death, taxes, the Spurs making the playoffs somehow with whoever they have, and I don't know what the 4th one was.
Did they miss it last year? Were they in it? Or the year before?
They weren't. Yeah. They were in the bubble tournament, but they didn't make the playing games. That's right. But they were there though. And right now they're in 4th somehow.
Right? Who is on that team besides DeMar DeRozan?
Right.
Who is on that team?
LaMarcus Aldridge.
And you forget about him. I forget about him all the time.
You forget about him. Yeah, Rudy Gay is up there. They got a bunch of good players. It's just like I wouldn't think they'll be in 4th place right now.
No, that's a lot of guys on the back end of the career that kind of we forgot about over the last 5-7 years. Of like, oh right, this dude's still playing.
Right, used to be a beast.
Yeah. Where are you now? 7th man.
And now we have also the Denver Nuggets, where they started off really slow in the beginning of the season. I remember our last show, we was like, what's going on with the Denver Nuggets? But right now they're in 5th place, looking really strong.
Came back.
And then the bottom half of the league they're all tied to be either in or out the playoffs. And there's some really good teams down there: the Grizzlies, Portland, and the Suns right now. And then in 9th, I think right now 9th is the Pels. I'm not too sure, but I think in 9th is the Pels.
Let's check. They're not doing.
Oh no, it's not. No, it's Golden State. Yeah, Golden State's in 9th. So, I mean,
that's a team.
I feel bad.
Go ahead.
No, I just feel really bad for Portland. I really feel like that team is cursed.
They are. Like even when they've got all the weapons in the world, they just still can't. They still can't click and get a long run put underneath them.
Yeah, or they just get hurt. Like it's just terrible.
Oh yeah, Yusuf Nurkic can't stay on the floor.
Yeah,
he has like what?
He has
one healthy season.
He has a broke wrist now.
Oh
yeah.
I shake my head and show the Knicks logo because that makes me feel the pain of all the former hurt Knicks in the past.
Right. But yeah, so what are your thoughts? So I mean,
I'm gonna focus on the East, and there's been some shifting. Orlando, we know, came out of the gates super red hot. They've cooled off a little bit. They're not even in the playoff picture at the moment. And I think a lot of that is just due to the fact that Markelle Fultz is hurt, and they were able to stay afloat for a minute with Cole Anthony, but now he's a rookie and he's learning the ropes, so he's kind of fallen off, and the rest of the team is feeling that as well. Boston and Milwaukee, completely conversely of Orlando, they both got out of the gates pretty slow. And they're both starting to get their wheels back under them. Atlanta also slow out of the gates. They're back in it.
They finally got their full team back.
Yeah. They dropped a lot of money in the offseason on their new players, and finally they're all healthy. And Cleveland, they disappointed me when we recorded our last episode. I was all ready to ride high on that bandwagon, and then they just fell off the face of the earth. But now they're back in seventh, and that Garland's back, and they'll at least gonna try. At least gonna try to hang around. And maybe we're just the kiss of death, and every time I talk up someone's praises, they just tank.
So let me ask you a question about Cleveland. Cleveland has been rumored they're gonna buy out Andre Drummond. Did you hear this?
I don't know if I would agree with that. I mean, was he? Why is that?
I thought they were doing so well. Why y'all want to buy him out?
Yeah, and he was playing well. It was a big reason why I got high on them right at the start, because he was becoming this interior presence defensively and rebounding that they really needed. And that's gonna have a nice anchor for the point guard, the double point guards to play off of and just kind of do their thing and not really worry about too much else. So that would very much surprise me if that happened, because I think he's done a good job for them. I mean, why would they buy him out before Kevin Love?
Yeah, I don't get that either.
Maybe
they feel
Kevin Love probably makes more money.
Trade him. That too.
Yeah.
Or they think Kevin Love's probably more valuable than Andre Drummond in today's league.
Maybe, 3-point shot, more of a veteran leader. That could also be accurate. And who's in 8th place right now? We were all down on our Bockers, and they're back in it. They're back in it. And mind you, the Nets are climbing their way back to second right now. We could wind up having that battle for New York first round matchup after all.
Yeah, we could.
I despite a little bit of bias there, I still think the main story right now is the Sixers playing as well as they are, just despite the fact that they're not exactly the best shooting team in the league. But they could really lock up their opponent. That may or may not be. That may or may not be an effective Doc Rivers. And Joel Embiid is playing out of his mind. The Nets, they get the beard, and it's like 2012 all over again. Like Harden and Kevin Durant, it's like they never had 7 years off in between playing together.
Yeah,
I think that's. I think that's it's going to come down to the two of them. And as far as at the top of the East, playoffs are a whole other animal. We'll certainly tackle that in another couple months. But at least in the early going, that's kind of how it's shaping up a little bit. And as long as Philly can figure out who's going to take their jump shots, I don't think. I think they're going to be quite the obstacle for these new look Nets to try and get by. Because we all know
absolutely.
the Nets are all in right now. They trade all those draft picks. You really need a championship.
Yeah. They were in that rumor that I heard about Andre Drummond. They were like the first suitors for him to get Andre Drummond
To go to
and I'm like
the Nets.
to Brooklyn.
To Brooklyn, yeah. And
I mean that would be big for them.
That would be big. They need a big body inside. They certainly need to work on their defense. And Andre Drummond, he don't need to do anything on that team.
He doesn't need to do anything.
Yeah.
Just be there.
Just be a body. Don't let anybody get to the basket, or at least get to the basket very easily. And
be a lob threat.
Just be a body. Yeah. Oh, can you imagine? I mean, granted, DeAndre can run as well, but I meant like all those bigs on the Nets that can run and finish transitions.
Yeah, it'd be nasty.
Well, Jet, there's a team we've been a tad liberal to criticize this season. Deservedly so, because they have a ton of talent, far more than should be justified to be the basement dwellers this early in the season. They sold out a fixture on their team in the last several years to acquire an explosive, record-breaking, lightning rod type of player, and their other longtime stalwart has been really picking up his end of the bargain and pouring in quite a lot of big time performances so far this year. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you the return of the Stank Report.
It's that time again, kids, where we highlight the lowlights of the league's most smelly. And this time, it isn't a single player who gained this award, but an entire organization. A 3-12 record is what this ball club has managed to do since the start of the season. A team who has a player who was a former MVP in Russell Westbrook, and a perennial all-star in Bradley Beal. In my eyes, when you have these two, you shouldn't be this bad. I mean, look at the Warriors. They only have Steph and Draymond, who isn't a big-time scorer, but he moves the needle for them. And a bunch of unproven players, and they managed to still win about 10 games. So for the Wizards to do this in the beginning of the season, it's not looking up for them. And that's why I feel this award isn't solely on one player, but an entire organization, front office on down. Maybe the Wizards forgot they're a basketball team and got into the sanitation business, because this team is garbage truck smelly. And for their last trick, I think the Wizards should do us all a favor and disappear Bradley Beal to a better team who could use his services better, because he's just wasting away on the Wizards. His games could be way more meaningful on a better team. Hashtag free bad. Hashtag free Russie.
Free Russie.
Maybe he deserves that jail. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Maybe he does. Speaking of hashtags, please remember, all you faithful hoop heads out there, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at hoopsboyspod, and submit all your questions to hoopsboyspod@gmail.com, and we will get as many of your questions on a future show as possible. That's all we want is to hear from you. Tell us we're out of our mind. That's okay. Next up, we look back on a rather somber anniversary we hit the past week, the loss of an all-time legend of the hardwood, and also bring in some oft-downtrodden fans of the orange and blue to kick around the state of the usual laughingstock of the association, our New York Knickerbockers.
welcome back to the Hoops Boys Pod. Once again, it's your host with the most, Jet and CProc. And first, we would like to start off this segment paying homage to a late legend, Kobe Bryant. This is still something crazy to me. It's been a year since his passing, but it still feels like yesterday. CProc, how do you feel about it?
It really did just come up everyone just come up out of nowhere last year. I'm like, wait, what happened? You hear the news story, you're like, what? I mean, my fondest memories of the Mamba are dating back to his number 8 days. That was, of course, that's when we first got a taste of him, and he was a young buck, and he had the big diesel. They were just running trade on the East every time they got to the finals. I mean, you think back, the Indiana Pacers, the Reggie Miller, Larry Bird coach team, they gave them the best run, and the Lakers still won that in 6. I mean, they only lost 1 game the entire postseason the following year against
to AI.
To AI in the finals.
Yeah.
The only game they lost. Of course, it was game 1, which is really weird. But they were just unstoppable that year. They dropped that first game, and then they oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Now we need to win this now.
It was like, wait, we're the Lakers. What are we doing?
Right, and then the exclamation point, they just stomped out that very overachieving New Jersey Nets team. And it doesn't just stop there in the finals, because they were as dominating as they were in those final series. The previous series they played during the Western Conference playoffs, you were going up against a Spurs team that was right on the cusp of being, well, I mean, by this point they'd already won a championship, but that was kind of an odd season with the lockout, and that Spurs team was right on the cusp of beginning the dominant run that they did. It was Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili and Tim Duncan, and they would go through the Mavericks teams, back really elite backcourts with Michael Finley and Steve Nash, centered of course by Dirk, and Sacramento, those Chris Webber, Peja Stojakovic teams, and those had good backcourts too. I mean, Doug Christie's hardly a Michael Finley or a Steve Nash, but Doug Christie could lock guys up, and Mike Bibby put up some really stellar playoffs when he was at Sacramento. So all those classic playoff matchups are the ones that really hold a fond place in my heart.
The one thing that I always loved about Kobe was his approach to the game, the Mamba mentality. I feel like that's the thing that drove him to chase and win 5 championships. It's the same thing that drove him to drop 81 on Jalen Rose's head top.
Poor Jalen Rose.
Poor Jalen Rose. He was a force in this league, and he will forever be remembered by the people he touched and influenced during his time playing. Rest in power, Kobe Bryant.
And as we reminisce Kobe's memory, we must also maintain our moving forward. Remember him in the best light, but also keep in mind that when legends pass, they do want us to move on and remember the good things and not the things that make us sad.
Right.
And there might be some hopefully better days for a team near and dear to our own hearts. And with that, we introduce to you the Knicks Roundtable.
Right now, we have a couple of diehard Knicks fans with us to talk about our beloved Knicks. Welcome to the Knicks Roundtable.
And today, we welcome Lamont out of Long Island, New York, Roberto out of Bridgeport, Connecticut, and Casey out of Brooklyn, New York.
So for our first question to the panel, it's about playoff contention. If you were a GM of this team and it looks like we're going to make the playoffs, what players would you target from another team? What players would you trade from our ball club to make our team better? Sort of like a player's wish list, if you would. Lamont, let's start with you.
See, I'm torn on the whole making the playoffs thing this year. Now, right now, because the East is so crappy, we are really sitting on that bubble in that 8th spot. And even though we're 2 games back of 500, and we're worst in scoring in the league. Yeah. Here's what I would do. And again, playoffs, not playoffs, trade everybody not named RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, Quickly, and Obi Toppin. Everybody else, not even on the table. Take them off the table, put them in a pan, turn the fire on, cook them, get out. especially Dennis Smith Jr. No doubt, because it's like you have this core. You got this core of these core four. Not to go Yankees with it, but you got this core of these young, dynamic players. And maybe Kevin Knox. Kevin Knox shows flashes, but everything else to me is just dead weight. Everything else is just money spent. I like Julius Randle, but his numbers are off the charts. But he's doing this whole like point forward thing, like an extremely poor man's Nikola Jokic. I'm not buying it. You know what I'm saying? Like long term, like it's working now, but it's definitely not working out. Like it was like 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and like 5 turnovers a game, something like that. Yeah. So if we are talking players down the line, guys like Kyle, we need a pass first organizing point guard. A Chris Paul type, not Chris Paul exactly because he's super old, but like a Chris Paul, like a Kyle Lowry or somebody like that to really organize this offense. Because you have the pieces, you have Toppin, who's going to be Kenyon Martin. You've got Quickly, who's like he's fearless, like he doesn't care. He's a rookie. He's like, I don't care. I'm taking it to the hole. Right. You know, and RJ is really starting to finally. You can see that growth coming. And if Mitchell Robinson can stay healthy and stay out of foul trouble, he's Marcus Camby. You know what I'm saying? Right. So. You just need that one veteran, I know what to do, like point guard. And I think we're talking like mid-seed, 4th, 5th seed in the East for the long term. Like the short term, I don't know what's going to happen this season. It's a weird season, but long term, man, load up the U-Haul van and get everybody up out of there.
And it's interesting you brought up Kyle Lowry as the example to get because with the Raptors really in the toilet right this season, he might be primed for the picking.
Give him a 10-for-1 special. Like, give him everybody. Give him garden seats. Give him, like, a car, whatever they need. Like, and especially some of the, like, listen, Frank Ntilikina, again, nice guy. And we have had this habit of drafting these nice guys who are just like, I don't see that fire, man. You mentioned Kobe. I don't see that Black Mamba, that passion from guys like Knox, from guys like Frank, great guys that I think they could turn into serviceable veterans down the line, but that ain't getting there. They're not the guy. You know what I'm saying? I think we have 4 guys that are primed to be a really, really dynamic team going forward for the future. And I think it's time to pull out that meat cleaver and start.
I agree. I heard rumors about us getting Lonzo from the Pels. How do you feel about that?
I'm not sold on the ball. I don't know, man. I don't know. Very exciting. He's like the new like white chocolate. He's like the passes behind the head and doing all this stuff. But I got to see a couple of years because everybody was very high on Lonzo.
LaMelo. I meant Lonzo.
You meant? Oh, okay. Even Lonzo. Again, I don't know. If he doesn't come at an exorbitant price, if we're not talking like super max and selling the future, potentially. Yeah.
He's solid. All right. Thanks, Berto. All right. So that same question, how you feel about that? Do I need to repeat it or?
No, you're good. You're good.
All right.
So I do feel like we're gonna make it just at the very bottom. I think we're gonna be one of the last spots to take it. I don't think we're gonna. To be honest, I don't think we're gonna make it far. Like you said, our offense is one of the worst, and I think if we're gonna make some trades, we should do like Lamont said, trade the whole everybody away.
Get rid of everybody. Yeah.
Our bench is really killing us. We're good on our defense, but points is what makes a game. So
right.
I heard the rumors about Lonzo. I really don't think we should get him.
Yeah.
We already seen what LaMelo does, and it's only his first year here, so we already see him slacking. If we're gonna get someone, I think we should bring back Derrick Rose. He was a good contributor to our team when he was first there. He loved the Garden, but we just didn't take him back.
Yeah.
Maybe Zach LaVine.
Yeah, I was
hearing rumors about that. But if I really wanted to pick someone, and if we were giving up a lot of players, it'd be Brandon Ingram. He'd be a great contributor to our team.
Yeah, that's baby KD right there.
It is, and he's really slept on.
Yeah, he is. It's just because he plays in the Smoothie King Center. Anybody that plays there doesn't get any respect, it seems.
That's it. That's another 10-for-1 type of package.
Hey, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Right. It would be worth it because our scoring is terrible. And Brandon Ingram, he's similar to, like I said in the previous show, he's similar to Jason Tatum. Like they average the same numbers, but Jason Tatum gets all the hype.
Yeah, because you got to think of city-wise, like where he is.
Yeah.
Just like Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis kind of slept on. He was mentioned here and there when he was on the Pelicans, and now he's with the Lakers. He's just all eyes on him.
Right. And I think BI in the Garden would be electrifying.
Yeah. I say, just like Lamont said, like RJ and Quickly, they're our main two guys who are putting points once they're on their roll. So I think we need to focus the team around them. And if we do that, then I think we'll be we'll get to like a championship run soon.
Yeah, I agree. All right, last but not least, my boy Casey. How do you feel about all this?
I don't want to see the Knicks, trade the house just to get something right now. I think they've been doing that too much in the last, 5-6 years.
Yeah.
I think they got to stay the course, kind of develop this core group of young guys, and then they float around the 500 record for a couple years, get in as an 8 seed, maybe next year 7 seed, and then they become more attractive for a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of saw this in Brooklyn where, they had a decent team for a few years, no real superstars, and then all of a sudden they get maybe one too many.
Yeah.
As long as they just don't go for the quick fix, trade everything for, an aging superstar, which wouldn't
They
surprise
certainly have
me.
a track record of doing.
That is the Knicks legacy. Oh my
No
God.
Bargnanis,
We just love doing
Tracy McGrady, like Steve
Yeah.
Francis. Jesus.
Yeah.
Right.
If the owner can stay out of it for a couple years, I think we'll be good.
A sign and trade for DeMarcus Cousins, and we're gonna max him out.
Lord.
Yeah.
The owner, quote unquote, the owner, by the way, he who shall not be named. I like that.
Sir, him, that dude.
For the next one, we have quite a diverse range of our age group as far as watching the Knicks and enjoying their follies and at times seldom successes over the years. So I'm sorry, Lamont, I'm going to start at the younger end on this and hopefully not make you feel too dated on this one, but we're going to start with Roberto. And Roberto, what is your favorite Knicks moment your time of being a fan?
So there's either one or two. I'm gonna say my second favorite one first is trading Kristaps Porzingis. That's probably like my second favorite moment because I guess that leads us where we are today. Right. And getting RJ in quickly, but like he just made me so mad that he just wanted out. It was not 1 minute he was down for us and the next minute he wasn't. But my number one moment is what made me a Knicks fan. I went to my first NBA game at the New York Knicks at MSG, and I watched Carmelo Anthony drop 62 points in that game against the Bobcats.
Wow,
it was just electrifying.
The Bobcats.
They were the Bobcats at that time.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
I was just following basketball. I was like one of those people who follow LeBron James because I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
I was like, I didn't know who to root for. And then I went to the Knicks game and I was like, whoa, the environment, the energy. I was like, nah, this is my team.
Yeah. That's what
Carmelo gave you that tease into the door.
Oh, he did. He trapped me. He trapped me.
That was a terrible season for us too.
It was.
Casey, you split the difference in age between these two. What's your favorite Knicks moment?
I think going back to high school, going with a friend to a Knicks game, like without any parents, kind of the first solo mission, and just getting dropped off like right in front of Madison Square Garden in Times Square. It's just a really good time. The atmosphere, can't beat MSG. But in recent memory, I kind of dig in the hiring of Thibodeau. I think that's a good move for these young guys because, like with him at the helm, they're going to be competitive night in and night out. And as a Knicks fan, that's all I can really ask for right now is to just be entertained while watching the games instead of, seeing blowouts and turning it off in the fourth quarter every other night.
Crying in the shower.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can already tell so far this season that the culture changes definitely has a bit of an instant impact with their commitment to defense and how much more aggressive they're playing. I mean, a lot of that also is due to the fact that a lot of younger players and role players who probably would not otherwise have much of an opportunity in the league, or at least much of an opportunity to play as much. But it's the themes overlap, and I definitely think Tibbs is an effect on that.
No, absolutely. Great hire.
Monty, you're the elder statesman of the bunch, and
Oh,
I like our previous two submissions of one kind of off court relevance and one kind of on court relevance. Are you going the same way, or are you gonna date us all and make us feel like infants?
Back when they started basketball. Now, granted, when I really started paying real attention to NBA basketball, I would say like in the early 90s. It was like 1992, 1993 that I really started latching on. I was a Nets fan for since 91, 92, and like Casey said, the first time I went to a game and the first time I really just started watching the broadcast, I was like, it's blue and orange, man. This is my team. Mm-hmm. And some of those moments, it's funny seeing this, what they're doing now and taking it all the way back to 93, 94, watching the Knicks make the finals with a team. We're not talking supers. We're talking Anthony Mason, some dude off the street, Charles Oakley, this big bruiser, and you got Ewing and Starks and Hubert Davis and these guys. And it was so scrappy and so they would just bite your leg off, to win a game. It didn't matter. And so the Knicks making the finals back in 94. I forget what year it was, the whole Van Gundy
Trust me, bro.
Yes. And that was just their scrappy, get in our face and we're all coming for you kind of like motif, man. That's always been our identity to me. And it was funny because on up to 1999, 2000, something happened. Well, somebody bought the team, but something happened. And for 19, 20 years, it was almost like the Knicks just didn't know who they were. And I feel like right now with Thibodeau and watching these young guys sliding on the floor and hustling, we're last in scoring, but we're fourth in rebounding. So it's almost like they're hustling, they're working. And I see a link between that 94 team, between that 99, 2000 team with Sprewell and Allen Houston and Marcus Camby, and these guys now. And that's what's making me excited because we've had players here and there. We've had a couple little Carmelo kind of pops here and there, J.R. Smith, but I'm starting to see it come back together again. And seeing it from that kind of historical kind of perspective, I'm seeing it's feeling like a little 94 and 95 kind of Knicks kind of action again. Again, we're not in the Garden, we can't all, they can't fill it up. But I think when the Knicks can fill the Garden up, and with these guys with Obi Toppin, and oh my God, it's gonna be crazy. So favorite moment, it's gotta be Jeff Van Gundy grabbing onto Alonzo Mourning's leg. That's just you just don't see that.
Right,
it's just amazing. That was just terrific. I'm watching. I wasn't at the game. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, oh, this is great. And he wasn't. They made it out like, oh, Van Gundy was fighting. Van Gundy was holding on for dear life. That man was like, yo, what is happening? Like in a forest and trees. He didn't know what he was doing. Right. But it was just, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's top 5 greatest Knicks moments right there.
And it's like an iconic sports moment. For some reason, the Knicks have these on-court moments, but just these off. Charles Oakley with the 7 security guards. We have these moments, man, where it's just it might not even be about basketball. It could just be It's just like crazy
It's a
shit.
UFC match.
Yeah, it's just like you really don't know what could happen, and that's one thing that the owner did promise. He said, "Hey, it's gonna be entertaining sometimes, and like if we can't win the basketball game, we'll just assault one of our legends and just drag him out of the garden."
I was worried. You know what? I was worried about you dating these younger guys, but I'm thinking it's the other way around because you're referencing guys that I don't think Roberto was born yet to see.
That's correct.
I wasn't, but I know about it.
It's a history book.
Thank God for YouTube. Thank God for YouTube. That's all I got to say.
The legends alive. Good old
No
YouTube.
doubt. No doubt.
We're gonna for the next one, we're gonna reverse it and work our way back down. Favorite Knicks player. Favorite Knicks player.
Ever?
Ever.
Oh,
Ever or well, you know what? Let's say ever as far as keeping the window open for people we've only seen film clips of.
right.
Let's say, and then let's also say ever in
Guys are coming
terms of
for my life.
someone we actually saw.
Right. And I got older friends who were just like, yeah, that Harry, blah, blah. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But okay, I'm sure he was great. But now here's the thing. Great now, when I say favorite, this doesn't mean greatest, doesn't mean scoring champion, doesn't mean all NBA. I'll give you a quick top 5, just kind of going on. John Starks. Again, I look at his numbers. I'm sure his numbers are terrible, but it was that energy. It was the dunk. It was, like little things, those moments that he provided. Charles Oakley is, I think, to me, maybe even top. It's just like that he embodied that toughness, and he wasn't even a New York guy. He's not from New York. He didn't start his career here, but when he came here, he was instantly embraced because it was just like, oh, that's 5 boroughs right there. That's a New York guy. Him and Anthony Mason just locking down. Didn't even want to score. They just didn't want you to score. How about that? And it's like that attitude was like that. So Starks, Oakley, I'm a big Spreewell guy. Love Spree. Just, again, he had that swagger. He could score, but he still kind of had that neck out, kind of puffing his chest out, kind of swagger going on. Who else we got?
Somebody that took out his head coach at one point.
Dude, and then there's no video of it, but I heard he came back for seconds. Listen, don't mess with him. Allen Houston, another great one, another great Nick. And Carmelo, listen, when he was playing for us, I had my issues with him, with the style of play, with the one-on-one, the ISO ball. I get now that that's pretty much what, the league is kind of sliding into a little bit. And post-mortem, now that he's dearly departed from the Garden, I do appreciate what he did do. Coming in when he dropped 64, 65, was his, top game. So yeah, Carmelo's on that list. He's on that top 5 that are alive.
It's a good list.
Casey, what's yours?
I'm gonna choose a random guy from a few years ago, Tyson Chandler.
Yeah.
I liked just the position. It's kind of a disappearing position, disappearing skill set. And then my girlfriend at the time, she wanted to buy me a Knicks jersey. So I said, I think Tyson Chandler, he'll be on the team for a while. That'd be a good jersey to have. I really like him. About 2 months later, he was traded away. And now I have a Tyson Chandler jersey with nothing to do with it.
Throwback.
Yeah, throwback now. But on the current team, I don't know if everyone's going to like this answer, but I kind of like Julius Randle, kind of the obvious answer. I think he's had to step up into that power forward point role just because they have, no talent at the point guard position. And Thibodeau kind of did a similar thing with Joakim Noah when Derrick Rose got injured, kind of had him become an assist machine. So yeah, Julius Randle, kind of crazy that he's, averaging the most assists on the team right now. So yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing from him.
Jules is definitely turning my opinion on him because I hated him last season.
I think we all did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he jumped from 2 assists to 6 assists a game, I think, from this year to last.
And he's balling, man. He's balling.
Yeah, he's definitely doing his thing.
I saw a graphic the other day, and I don't know if it was real because there hasn't been any actual confirmation of an All-Star game, but it had both him and RJ in as voting leaders for the
Yeah, I
All-Star
can see it.
game.
Yeah, I can see that.
Crazy. The 1 year we're not gonna have an all-star.
Yeah, the Knicks get 2 starters. It would be karma, wouldn't it?
Virtual All-Star game.
Exactly. If it's just
They're all
in their house
playing-
doing Zoom calls. Like,
Yeah.
hey.
It's gonna be like this Pro Bowl where they all play Madden. They're just gonna be in their apartments playing 2K.
Right.
Exactly. Horse, like celebrity horse.
They could play. Or find some random basketball court out in the middle of whatever city they're playing in, or for the ones that are making so much money they have their own mansions. They go out and play in the one in their backyard. Just have like one single ISO camera up and just play horse the whole time. I'd be down with that. Be better than playing a video game anyway. Bruno, close us out and make us feel like we're all ancient and gray.
I'm not like you guys are calling me out. Like I don't know nothing. Probably if I had, I don't know. I definitely have to say Carmelo because he turned me into a Knicks fan.
Mm-hmm.
I love Patrick Ewing and how like tough he was. Right now, it'd be RJ and Quickly. Like Quickly showing me like how determined he is and how he wants to like be a big factor. And RJ's starting to bring back that like we don't care, like we want to win.
Yeah.
So those would probably be my couple favorite players.
Shout out to Jeremy Lin.
Oh,
Hey, y'all play. Listen,
Linsanity.
Linsanity was like for them 2 weeks. Ooh, you rushed home to watch Jeremy Lin play, which sounds insane now, but it was crazy. They were selling his jersey. They were bootlegging. They were bootlegging his jerseys. We didn't even have to go to Modell. I bought one from Modell. They were selling them. You know how the guys make up T-shirts? They were bootlegging Jeremy Lin T-shirts on like 125th Street. No, I am not lying to you. And I was like, what is happening?
Then you could buy a bootleg Jeremy Lin T-shirt.
The jersey, yeah.
I have one of those. I have a jersey. I think you remember that.
I do. I had one too. That Linsanity, man. That was 2 weeks of gold, baby. Yeah.
Whenever I need to pick me up, I just YouTube those highlights.
When he knocks that shot on the Lakers, and he just turns around and he's like, yeah, like he's an MVP. He's MVP for like a week and a half. It was terrific.
He was having an out-of-body experience for that 2 weeks.
2 weeks of feeling like we were back in the finals.
Right.
It's a glorious time.
It's all downhill from there.
To springboard on Berto's point about Quigley and tying in our often bounced around topic of who the point guard's going to be. Do we think Quigley is someone that could fill that role as a swing type of big point guard player?
I don't know, man. He seems like a scoring guard more. He's only 6'3", but he's that kind of attacking guard. I don't know if he's really a setup kind of process guy. Like he's not going to look to Tibbs and run plays. And again, I love it. I love that he's like that, especially as a rookie. But he gets that ball and he's like, it's the playground. He's like taking this guy one-on-one, hitting him up, knocking down a three. I don't know if he's. I think, yeah, point guard wise, I don't think so. Shooting guard, definitely.
I don't know. He's third in rookies for scoring. So
he's baller. He is baller.
Yeah, I like his change of pace. Like he can come in and completely change the game.
Yeah.
I think he did that last night with the Cavs. He like came in the fourth and took him on like a 12-point run.
Yeah, the energy just changes.
Yeah.
Like, but if Julius Randle is going to run the point forward, you know what I mean? He can still play and do his thing, and Julius Randle could take over the point guard duties. But do we want that though?
Long term, it's dangerous.
I think we need to either trade for someone or draft someone for that.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, long term. And I don't know, like the prototypical kind of Chris Paul type point guard. I don't know if, like you talk about like the 7 foot back to the basket big man, like that's kind of going out of style. I don't know if like the 6'2", 6'3", I'm just gonna get like 10 assists and not really score that much point guard is the thing. It seems like now the thing is like the 6'8", 6'7", triple double machine, like the Luka, kind of thing. So, and there's not a lot of Lukas out there, not a lot of LeBrons out there, but
Just walking around.
I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of like but I know the Thunder won't get rid of him. Shea Gilgeous Alexander.
Yeah, he's good. SGA. Yeah.
Him, I would let him run the point.
Yeah, he's good.
But I feel like that's perfect. I mean, I want to keep up what we have though. I like Quickly. Julius Randle is not making me angry anymore.
Showing improvement.
Exactly.
But to spin off of that, I want to talk expectations. So we kind of touched on this in the first question, but what do you think we're going to end up? 7th seed, 8th seed, and do you think we have any award winners on our team, like a most improved player, rookie of the year? What are some of the expectations that you guys have for this team? I'm gonna start from the bottom this time. Casey, I'm gonna ask you first. How do you feel about that?
I think this season, I'll be optimistic and say we make the playoffs as an 8 seed. I think if we're floating around 500, we'll definitely get in. And it's just such a hard season to predict with COVID right now. Like, Look at Miami; they're at the bottom of the standings. They just got Butler back after like 10 games out. So you imagine they'll, catapult up eventually.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, when you never know if your guys are going to be in and out, night in and night out. I feel like there's 8 teams in the East kind of fighting for the 6th, 7th, and 8th seeds right now.
Absolutely.
But I'm optimistic, and I think the Knicks will get one of those.
Good. How about any award winners? You think we got a most improved player on our team? Julius Randle, or rookie of the year and Emmanuel Quickly?
I feel like most improved could almost go to RJ Barrett. I feel like last year he was, taking too many jumpers, too many threes, and this year he's kind of beefed up a little and decided that, whoever's guarding him, he can just take it to the rim instead, and he's just trying to score instead of, trying to shoot, if that makes sense. So yeah, I like RJ Barrett for most improved.
And he's rebounded very well.
Yeah, it's just more aggressive in general. I think that's like confidence second year.
Yeah, absolutely. So Berto, how do you feel?
I do think we're gonna make the playoffs. I don't think we're gonna get higher any. Like, we might get the 7th seed the most, but I don't think we're going any higher than that.
Okay.
I do see us getting somewhere farther next year if we can find the right pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But for most improved or like any rookies, I don't think we're gonna get any. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Quickly. Like, everyone's just like pushing him away because of Lonzo, Wiseman, and Edwards. All of them, they're like taking up the spotlight. So, and maybe either Randall or RJ for most improved, but I think they're just gonna find someone else because we're the Knicks, so no one's gonna really look at us.
Right.
How a team in New York can have the disrespect label, who knows? But we can sure pull it off.
Yeah, they might pull. Oh no, that he could take that as comeback player of the year for KD.
KD, yeah, he's having a
yeah. Yeah, now that they got the big trio, they're gonna look at Brooklyn more than they look at us.
God,
we might get
our nightmares realized.
You might get that battle from New York playoff series, which would be dope.
It would be good.
Last but not least, my boy Mott.
Oh Lord! Now I would definitely say RJ sounds good, smells good, feels good for most improved player. But then, as I'm just thinking through some of the players that have kind of started popping up, Christian Wood out in Houston, and again, he was just put in a perfect position. He's a good player, but his numbers have just like taken. He's primed to be like a star. But RJ, he's improved on points. He's improved on rebounds, assists. Looked it up the other day. Free throw percentage, like Casey said, he's being more aggressive. He's not just settling for jumpers. He's taking to the hole, getting fouls, and that's how you really start to improve in this league. Like you realize, I can just go in. And with that second year, the first year, the refs kind of keep the whistle in the pocket a little bit, even if you're a high draft pick. Second year, you're an established player. You get those calls. As far as playoffs, I can definitely see us slipping into 7th or 8th and making the quick old exit. Again, we got that spark, and again, because it's the East is trash. Like we're middle of the pack in the East. We're gonna slide in and then run into the buzzsaw of these fake Nets, this monstrosity, this artificial monstrosity called the Brooklyn Nets. Right. Either them, Boston, like there's those top 4 teams, Milwaukee, like that's anybody who's going to play them in the first round is going to be it's washed. So, but you know what? Quite frankly, I'll take it. After all these years of I'm literally being the worst team in the league, bottom 3, just making the playoffs even ceremonially, even if we get swept, we're a playoff team. Hey, once you put that on your back, hey, you know what? We're a playoff team and we're improving. That's good currency. That's good money for going forward, man. I'll take that.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like our record is still going to be low enough to get a decent draft pick.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at quickly. It's like everybody always fixates on the top. Any drafts, ESPN kind of like they do their draft things. It's always the top 5, top 6 guys. What was quickly in the 20s or something like that? Like there's players down there, man. Like if we get a that first round pick in the middle somewhere, we can upgrade. We can definitely upgrade.
Right. If the NFL can find gems in the 5th and 6th round, then there's no reason why NBA teams can't find them in the low first round and second.
That's another name who shall not be named. Tom Brady, 6th round. We're turned into the GOAT. What's going on here?
especially for you being a Jets fan.
Recovering Jets fan. I'm going to my counseling meetings now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a whole nother show, Chase. That's a whole nother show.
Well, and I appreciate any Knicks fan starting off an expectations by preferencing it with "Oh Lord."
But you know what? And I tell my friends this all the time. I'm like, at the end of the day, and my other Knicks friends, listen, we don't suck. That's the thing. It's like we're not embarrassing, and I think that's the biggest thing. It's like we're a credible playoff bubble team. We're a good young team coming up. It was just those years of just like, we weren't going anywhere. It was just like, teams were coming. Like we were the team that teams would be on like a 3 or 4 game losing streak. Oh, it's cool. We play the Knicks next. Whew, we're going to get right. It's like we're no longer that team anymore. So we consistently beat bad teams, and we're like hanging in that middle. And right now, that feels good.
Yeah. We're not the guaranteed win for anybody right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, we always put up a fight.
Yeah.
Get a career high on us, like.
Hey, dudes come in like bench players, like 37s. Like, who the hell is that? I don't even know who that is. No more doormat. So.
Well, thank you very much, panel. This was incredible, and hopefully we'll be checking it again towards the end of the season if we have some happier news to report to replace some of our years of tears and sadness. Chat, take us out of it.
All right, guys. If you want to do us a huge favor, follow us on the Hoops Boys Pod, both on Twitter and Instagram, and we'll love you long time. When we come back, we will talk about some of the team's most prized possessions. MVP talk.
What a packed show we've put together for you this week. And guess what? It's not quite over yet. We're going to close out this by pairing the top MVP and Coach of the Year and call our shots as far as which two candidates are taking down the hardware for those categories.
All right, so first let's talk about the man calling the shots for their teams. Making a game plan so their respective teams can come out on top. I'm talking about the Coach of the Year. My candidate for Coach of the Year, or pick for Coach of the Year, is Steve Nash. Brooklyn is coming, man. With the addition of the beard, I think it's only a matter of time before his team is on the top of the East and possibly have the best record in the whole entire NBA. So I picked Steve Nash. So who do you think is going to be the Coach of the Year, CProc?
I think, assuming that this team can hold off of LeBron and company, I think it's going to be hard for anyone to overtake Quinn Snyder of the Jazz. I know Nash is pushing all the right buttons, a la Joe Torre type of Yankees stack team, and you're just
just sitting there.
putting the pegs in the hole and making sure it doesn't blow up.
Right.
But the Jazz, like we all knew the Jazz were going to be in it, but did we think the Jazz were going to be the best team in the West?
Nah.
Yeah, so that's. I think as long as they can hold on to. I think as long as they can hold on to this current lead they have, this current stretch run they're on, they can really take this to the end of the season and clinch that home court because they score, they play D. Donovan Mitchell, despite whatever the heck was going on with Shaq last week.
I think that was a challenge more than anything.
It might have been. Shaq just like poking the bear.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
And Donovan Mitchell, he's gonna garner his share of MVP votes, I think.
Yeah, he is. He is, absolutely.
Speaking of MVPs, though, let's kick it over to our calls there, and I think this may stay in the East. Now I know LeBron is really a man on a mission right now, and he's really playing at a level that he wants that he wants to take that home because they in the bubble last year. I think he probably got overshadowed a lot, and Giannis, of course, has had the firm grip on that award for the last couple of years. But, I mean, LeBron's already got, 3 MVPs? 4? I mean,
yes, 3.
Yeah, 3. That's what I thought. And he, how many more MVPs can we give him? I mean, in theory, you could give LeBron the MVP every year.
You could. He got robbed for 2, I think.
Yeah, that's probably true. And I think it's really going to come down to, just like the favorite in the East will come down to whoever does clinch the top speed between Philadelphia and Brooklyn. I think the MVP is going to come down to who's ever leading the charge there between Kevin Durant and Joel Embiid. Unless, of course, your favorite limelight player, Jason Tatum, decides to step up his game.
Yeah, that could actually happen too.
Yeah.
My pick for MVP is no other than the Slim Reaper, Kevin Durant. Since he's been back on the hardwood, he posted some impressive numbers: 30 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists. Also, while sporting a near 50-40-90 season, he's like a couple of percentage points off from the free throw. And now with the addition of James Harden, I think this team is posed to take a shot at the Larry. And if he stays healthy and his numbers don't take too much of a dip because of his supporting cast getting better, I think he should be at the top of the MVP race.
And I think we're doubling down a little bit, I guess, on Kevin Durant, and it's probably deserved. It's probably deserved.
Yeah.
He's going to. As long as the Nets maintain the pace they're on, he is going to garner a lot of votes, and especially I mean, Kyrie's been so off the walls this season. He's not going to take votes away from him, because that's the thing. You always have to worry about multiple superstars on one team taking votes away from each other, and I don't think Kyrie, with his early absences, several weeks ago, I don't think he's going to touch Durant's chances too much. And the beard, he just hasn't been there that long, and he's going in there knowing it's not his team, it's KD's team. So I don't think that's going to be too much of a too much of a threat to Durant's chances.
That's I mean, James Harden's been playing really, really well, and just as Kyrie's been absent, KD is also taking games off. He's not playing back-to-backs and stuff like that. James Harden could be the main constant there. You know what I mean? Constantly pouring out triple doubles. You know how he does.
Facilitating scoring.
Yeah, like he can be in that. He might not be like he might not win it over KD. He could be top 5 though in the race.
Now top 5 in the race. That's pretty high for him to finish. If he's gonna be in the top 5, that's in theory high enough to take votes away from Durant.
Yeah, it is.
So who's your backup?
Other than KD?
Yeah.
Gotta go Braun.
Rod, yeah.
Or how do you feel about the Spider? Yeah, we were just talking about they have the best record in the league.
Yes, I think the Spider is definitely in the conversation to be top 2, to be a top 2 finisher. Provided, of course, they close out the season with the best record. I really think Spider Mitchell is he's going to be up there.
Do you blame or congratulate Shaq for that?
I mean, I love Shaq.
I love Shaq too.
I'll give him his credit on that. I mean, it may be a facetious type of credit, but he I find it hard to believe that Donovan Mitchell's the type of player that needed that little extra boost. Based on what we've seen him do in the last few years he's been in the league. But he sometimes players need that. Sometimes they need that little chip on their shoulder.
Nah, definitely.
We got one question out of the mailbag this week to close the show, and it hints back to a rather darker time of the league. Jabroni627 on Instagram writes us, how much do you think the spreads still affect the outcomes of games? We can't forget Tim Donaghy and act like that has just stopped. So, what's your take on that? Do you think there's still some nonsense going on as far as point shaving? The end of close games? Absolutely.
That's that's like embedded in sports betting, right? Like that's just it is what it is, right?
Yeah. So
I don't know how you fix that.
Right, you give somebody a cut. Somebody gets a cut, and it's really easy to call a couple extra unnecessary fouls.
Right.
And this past Friday's games, the Raptors were a 4-point favorite. Why are the Raptors ever a favorite this year? They have no business being a favorite over any semi-decent team.
Right.
If they're a favorite over the Wizards, sure.
Sure.
But I mean, the Kings, they're not great. They fell off their hot start to the season, but they're still a competent team, and they wound up winning that. So I mean, that was definitely a little bit of a trap. And Indiana had a 3.5 point line, and they wound up losing by 3. And the Bucks, they were getting smoked for much of that game, and they wound up They wound up getting all the way back, but New Orleans still pulled it out, and they were the dogs. So I mean, this past week probably wasn't a good example to field any legitimate evidence of potential game rigging, but at the same time, if you're following the scores live and all of Milwaukee is getting scraped, and then they come bring it back, then you start to wonder, like, what's going on here?
Right.
And I know we're not. I know New Orleans isn't exactly. New Orleans isn't exactly in the primest of positions this season, but
they've been terrible this season.
Right.
Let's just be real about it.
Right. Exactly.
They miss Drew Holiday.
They probably do. Very stabilizing point guard presence. Lonzo's coming along, but Lonzo's probably come along a little slower than we would have otherwise thought.
Yeah. I feel like give him time. He's going to be okay.
Yeah.
That's it, guys. It's a wrap for this week's show. Thanks for tuning in on the Hoots Boys podcast with your boy Jet and the host with the most, CProc. Catch us next time. Maybe a new stink report.
Let's hope.
Hopefully there isn't, but there's some smelly individuals out there.
Oh yes, the smelliest.
If you want to kick it with us until the next show, catch us on our socials at Hoots Boys Pod on both Twitter and Instagram. See you next time.
Step back.
Kobe.